Okay, you can see that I'm starting with the links to folders document here in that folder. Links to folders. And just a little note here, I've added a file to that, and what I've done is I've put some instructions in here, and I'm going to open that so you can take a look at it. It says there's another folder created in this one. It contains the original ODT file that was created. I created in OpenOffice for the links to document file that you're seeing here. And it just gives them instructions about how to deal with that file. This is instructions to people in the future in order to try to make sure that the links to folders document stays up to date as much as possible. And then here's the link source. If I double click on that, it will open up the same document but as an ODT file. In this case, created by OpenOffice, but it can be edited in other things as well. Okay, now on to the business at hand. Let me go back to the links document. And open it by double clicking on it. And that should look familiar to you. And what I'm going to do in this little tutorial is I'm just going to do a little bit to make sure that everything's working right for you. And what I want to do, I guess, is come up with the starting points for making the video. And in this case, I want to gather up some original files and get them downloaded to your computer in a logical, meaningful way. Okay, so what I've chosen is some pictures of your brother Richard. So if I come over here to photos of people, Hansen, and I click on that, it will go to that folder that has the pictures of Richard Hansen, or has the Hansen people in it. And because I want the pictures to be of Richard, I'm going to open that. Richard Hansen pictures here in the kind of the lower left. Double clicking on it. And here come the pictures. And I'm going to zero in even a little bit further on that. Rather than having all the pictures of Richard Hansen, I'm going to concentrate just on the pictures that show some of the projects that he was working on as a young man. And I'm going to include this picture here of him. I think he's at a VOR or VORTAC when he was working for the FAA. So I'm going to include that picture by clicking on it and highlighting it. And it's kind of hard to see, but it's got a pale blue coloring to it. And then here's a picture of him with his little scooter. So I'm going to do a control and then click to select that picture as well. Here he is with the bike. I'm going to do a control and click to select that picture as well. And I'm going to go down, and here he is. Looks like oiling something with an oil can. Not sure what, but I'll select that one. Here's Richard with his 3-barrel rubber band gun. I'll select that one. Again, by doing control and clicking it. Here's Richard aiming his rubber band gun. I'll select that one as well. Here he is on his scooter again. I'll select that one. Here he is as a young child, but he's not involved with his projects. Here he is out on a farm somewhere. Here he is, it looks like in your computer room, not doing anything with his projects. Here he is, but he doesn't seem to be actually doing anything. Here he is with his aviator's gear on, his hat and goggles. This one, I don't think he's doing anything in that one either. That one is him when he's a young kid. And here's another one of him when he's a little bit older, but he's not doing anything with his stuff there either. So I've got those files selected, and what I want to do is go to one of them has been selected, and you can see that it's got a little bit of a blue tinge to it, but it's a little bit hard to see. And I'm going to right click on it, and by right clicking I'm going to bring up that pull-up menu, or pop-up menu. And I'm going to basically copy these. Okay, well, we got a problem here. It's not allowing me to copy. Oh, yes, it is. Okay, here it's make a copy. Okay, right here. So if I make a copy, it's going to copy everything that's been selected. Down here in the lower left, you can see it's copying 7 files. And now we will have those files here, both as their originals and as their copies. In the copies, we'll say copy of, copy of, copy of. And so we're going to select all those pictures that we have a copy of here. And we're going to move those over to a new folder. But in order to do that, we need to make a new folder. Now, you can make this selection and then go and make the new folder and come back to this. Or, of course, you can make the new folder first, then come and copy, and then go back and copy and back to the other folder. But in this case, what we're going to do is go over to a place where we can make the, and you click on this little right arrow, it'll go to a down pointing arrow here under the My Drive. I'm going to come down to the Hansen Sala family videos here, because this is where the projects will go. All the projects will go here. Again, I'm going to click on the little arrow at the left, change this to a downward pointing arrow, and now I want to come down to the Hansen family, because it's going to be under the Hansen family. Click on the little down arrow again, and we can see that right now there is nothing under the Hansen family. There's been no projects created yet in the Hansen family here. Otherwise, we would be seeing something where there is projects in it. For example, in the Long family, if I click on that little arrow on the left, you can see that under the Long family, there's subfolders for Clara's Hitchhiking, Lois's Poetry, and the Long Sausage Business. But I don't want those. I don't want the Long family. I want the Hansen family. So I want to make a new folder under the Hansen family. And the question is, what folder do I want to have here? Well, you can create a folder, and if you need to, you can move it later, or you can make a subfolder for it, or you can put it into other subfolders. So for right now, I'm just going to create a folder under the Hansen family. And to do that, I'm going to right click on the Hansen family here under the Hansen Sala family videos. Right click on it. And I am going to make a new folder. And what I'm going to call this folder is Richard's projects. Richard's, and we know it'll be Richard Hansen because it's under the Hansens. So the new folder, and I'll call it this thing is very slow. Okay, I can't put a okay, and I will create that subfolder. And I will not open that. We know that subfolder has been created now, but there's nothing in it because we just created it. And I'm still here in the Richard Hansen pictures. And I want to select all of these copy of Richard Hansen pictures. So I'm going to go, this time we know that they're basically all copy of, so they're all going to be in a row. Everything from here to the beginning is going to be copy of. So I'm going to select the first one by left clicking on it. And you can see that it kind of turns blue, a light blue. I wish they would have a different color here, but that's the color they chose. That's the color we live with. And since I'm going to copy all the way down to here, now instead of doing a control left click, I'm going to do a shift left click to select all of these. And now you can see that that selection has been made. Now I can put my mouse cursor on any one of those pictures, and just like any other copy and paste operation, I can grab this and I can pull it over to the Richard Projects folder. And once I make sure that I'm on the Richard Projects folder, I can release the mouse button. And you get a message that says some people may not, will lose access. Well, if they're going to try to find it in this folder, they won't find it in this folder anymore because those copies have been moved over to the new folder. And we don't care about that. So we're going to okay that because that's what we want to do. And now we can go over to that Richard Projects folder, double click on it, and we find all those copies over in the Richard Projects. Now at this point we got a couple of options. One thing is we could change the file names of these to something else, but in this case I'm not going to do that because that's an extra step that's not really necessary for what's going to happen in the future with this particular file, or these particular pictures files. Okay, now since this is in the projects, this is in the Hansen Sala Family Videos projects, it's associated with a specific project. And this project, of course, is Richard as a young fellow and the things that he was doing and working on and things. If you want to make a narrative file for this, you can take the Zoom recorder and you can look at these pictures, think about the order that you would like to have them in the video, and then make a little narrative for this group of pictures. But before you do that, I would recommend just leaving it like this for the time being, because you're going to definitely want to add more things to this, and you don't want to be making the audio narrative until you have this thing pretty well complete. Now, one thing that we had some video of is there was a time that you were over at Eddie's place there in Redmond. And you guys were looking at Eddie's photo album, and one of the things that was in Eddie's photo album was a stationary bike that Richard had made and put a generator on the on it, so that as he pedaled the bike, it would run the generator, and he used it to light a light bulb. He used the light bulb as a load to give himself some resistance for the for the riding his bike. So that's something you'd want to add. If you have other pictures that involve Richard and his novelties and projects that you want to keep adding and adding to this particular thing as you mentally kind of create this video in your head. So one way we can do this is we can go back to the links document, and that video was available has been made available in a second My Drive. But before we go there, since we're scrolling down and we have the family history projects, and this is the links to the Hanson Sala family videos, and we see that there's the Hanson projects here. If we click on that, it will open a new window. It will be the Hanson projects. And before, there was nothing in this folder. Now there is something in this folder. Now we have the Richard projects in there. That's the folder I just created. And while you're here, you can create other folders if you want. For example, you could create a folder for things involving Marilee, or things involving your dad, or things involving your young family life, or the things you were doing as kids. Anything that involves a specific project you would want to do involving the Hanson family can go in here. Since this opened in a new folder, when you clicked on that link out of the links document, you can just close this window by clicking the X here, and it'll take you right back to the links folder here. If we go back to the links to document, and there's a link here to My Drive number 2. Now I created another My Drive because you're limited to 15 gigabytes, and we were already up to about 11 gigabytes, and these videos take up quite a bit of space. So I've created this other My Drive. I call it My Drive number 2, and it will be used for larger files. If we need to, we could create another My Drive, and that gives us another 15 gigabytes. But we need to make sure that we're able to get to these other My Drives. And there's a link to this My Drive here. Again, it'll open in a new window or new tab. So if I click on this, it opens in a new tab. And it doesn't let you go directly to the top level directory of a My Drive, but it will let you go to a folder under the top level. And in this case, I put a graphic in that says that this is Hanson Cell in My Drive number 2. Okay, from here, now we can go up here and go up one level, and we can get back to the root directory of the My Drive. Now, I was talking about a video that has Richard and you and Eddie talking about that bike with the generator on it as part of another video. So I'm going to double click on the videos. And in this case, I'm going to say that is under the Hanson videos, I think, because it's a video that features Richard Hanson. Double click on that, and then there's just one file under there. And it's kind of a large file that you've seen before that has all kinds of stuff in it. And if you click on this file, it may or may not play the file, depending on how you get here. So if I double click on this file, it tells me that I can't play it. If I link you to that file, or you link yourself to that file, you will be able to play it. So apparently Google recognizes that we've created this second My Drive to get more space, and it's not letting us do everything. But in this case, we don't necessarily need to do that. What we're going to do here is to right click on it to bring up that pop-up menu. And we're going to download that file. Now, what does that do for us? Well, if we download the file, that file will then be on your computer. But it's that one file is over 0.5 gigabyte, so it takes up a lot of space. But by downloading it to your computer, you can edit it and pick out just a little part that you want. The part where you and Eddie and Richard are talking about the bike with the generator on it while you're looking at Eddie's photo album. Now, for now, I'm not going to download that. But if you're making this video and you want to have that video clip included, you will download this. You will go to a video editor. You will pull out that little section where you guys are talking about the bike with the generator on it. Save that as its own little video, and then you'll upload that back to the folder that has the Richard projects in it, because that was one of Richard's projects when he was younger. Okay, so I've showed you how to get to that My Drive number 2, and I'm going to just close that by clicking on the on the X here and the Hanson and then of course you would upload that video clip to this folder, because this is the folder that has Richard projects in it. And if you included that particular video clip in your overall narrative, you don't want to be making the narrative until you have basically all the files collected that you want to have in the video, in the folder, because then you still have a fragmented thing, because you've got pictures and video clips and things that you don't have available to talk about yet. Now, if you know that you're going to be adding that later, of course, you could say, put a little note to yourself. Maybe, you could use the, LibreOffice to make yourself a little note that says, I'm going to do this little audio clip, and I want to make sure that when I do my narrative that I include that. And you want to make sure that the narrative that you do ends up in the same folder with everything else having to do with Richard's projects. So everything involving anything having to do with this particular video is going to go in this folder. But this folder is still on the My Drive. You can't work on this with a video editor in your computer because you don't have access through the editor to these files. You still need to download them to your computer. So I'm going to make the assumption here that this is everything that's going to be in this video for you. You're not going to add anything else. You're not going to add any narrative. You're not going to add any notes. You're not going to add any more pictures. You're not going to add any more video clips. But for demonstrating the process of downloading and getting it to your computer so you can work on it directly, I'm going to assume this is everything. And what I want to do then is to download this entire folder. And to do that, I need to go up one level. So this folder is the Richard's Projects folder. The next folder up is Hanson Family. Okay, so I'm going to double click on the Hanson Family here, and you can click or double click. I just did a click that time, and you can see the Richard Projects folder there. And I want to download this entire folder. So I'm going to right click on the folder, come over here and go down to download, because you want to download this to your computer. And I'm going to click on it. And it's preparing the download, and you can look up here also. It should inform you that the download is progressing. Sometimes this goes faster than other times when you're trying to record things while you're doing it, as I am doing now using a screen capture program. It can get really slow. And you can see down here that it's zipping the file because it's going to use the zipping utility, in this case 7-zip, which I think is the one you'll use as well. I'll double check that. And these files are not that big, so I don't know why it's taking so long to do the zipping here, but we'll wait for it. I might hear, okay, now it's telling me that it's done that, and it's got that downloaded. Okay, now if I go to the Windows Explorer, and if I right click on it and I select Windows Explorer, or not Windows, but File Explorer. Sorry about that. File Explorer. It will let me open a new instance of the File Explorer here. And I want to make sure that I am under this PC. Okay, so we're under this PC here. And it probably is going to go into your downloads folder. So I'm going to click on the downloads folder there. And since it was the last thing, oops. See, I need to click in here, which can kind of screw me up a little bit sometimes. We'll clear down to the bottom. And it did change it. So we need to look for that folder. Which is called Richard Projects. And we can see that it's a zip. Okay, and so there's a procedure involved with zipped folders. Now, you can use the folder in this location in the download directory, but the problem with doing that is that you may want to use this folder to do this project, maybe days or even weeks after you've downloaded it. So let's put it into a place where it's easier to find. And to do that, let's go ahead and open a new instance of the File Explorer, again by right-clicking on the icon for it here. Do File Explorer, and it'll open up a new File Explorer window. Oops. Okay, and there's the one we had before. Here's the new one. And you can see that we're already under this PC. So I can go to something under this PC. Okay, there's the OneDrive. That's the online cloud. Come down. There's this PC. And in my case, I have put everything under the videos under this PC. You will put them in whatever folder you have the files for your videos. So I can't tell you exactly where you will be putting them, but you'll be putting them under something having to do with your family history projects. And I'm going to have to leave it to you to figure out the logical place that you will be able to remember where they are and to be able to find them later. In my case, I put them under videos. I can select the videos. Under videos, I put them under family videos. So if I double click on that, and this is going to be under miscellaneous. That's where I'm going to put it here. Now, when I do the tutorial and save the tutorial, of course, it'll be saved under this tutorial folder. But I'm going to use the miscellaneous folder here for creating a folder for the Richard Projects video. So I'm going to double click on that. And we can see that there are already some things made, and some of these things will look familiar to you. For example, you can see the is example. You can see Lois's poems. You can see the Okay, and there's a bunch of links here. Here is the links document. Okay, the links document uh, ODT file. This is the original. Here's the links document PDF file. So you can see these because they're here in the miscellaneous. Okay, and if you in the future decide to update the links document, because now you've got the ODF file there available to you, you'd be able to do it. But once you change it, then it's no longer up to date in mine. That's why it's so important to update both the ODF and the PDF file, so that later, if somebody else wants to do it, they can download that ODF file and then modify it and create both the new ODF and the new PDF file. And I know this is getting very, very technical. It's getting very, very involved, very, very everything, but this is working with a computer. This is the way working with computers is. For now, what I'm going to do is go up here and I'm going to create a new folder. So I'm going to do a right click somewhere out here and I'm going to make new. And the new thing I'm going to make is a new folder. Okay, and I'm going to call this folder Richard Projects. But this Richard Projects is the one that will be on your computer, not on the cloud drive, not on the My Drive. But now that folder will be created. I'll hit enter to create that folder. And now I can bring that folder from the downloads into the Richard folder here, over here. So I need to open the Richard Projects folder. I can select it and I should be able to drag it over here and put it in the Richard Projects folder. And there it is. Okay, drag and drop. Now, I can't really directly access these pictures yet. I need to extract the stuff from here. And that's one of the things that's involved in the zipping and unzipping process. They were zipped when they were sent or downloaded, and now they need to be unzipped so they can be used as individual files. So I'm going to right click on this 7-zip icon on this thing I just selected, and also what I'm going to do here is verify that that came over and it did. Good. Okay, depending on what you're doing, sometimes it will leave the original where it was and actually make a copy, but in this case, since you're staying on the computer, it actually moves it. So I'm going to right click on this little icon here, and it gives me some options. It gives me the option to open it, or do a 7-zip here. And what I want to do is in the 7-zip is I want to come over here, oops, come on, and I want to extract the files. And since I already have this zipped version in this folder, the Richard Project folder, I am going to extract the files here. So extract here is what I'm going to select. So 7-zip, see the pop-up, go over, extract here. And those files are now being extracted here, and you can see that there's another folder being created. And now if I open that folder, you can see those pictures of Richard ready to go there. And you can do one other thing here. Let's see, where are we? If I go up here to view, because now we're in the File Explorer, the Windows File Explorer, not the 7-zip folder. Go to view. If I look at extra large icons, that's what I'm going to select, just to make the pictures easier to see. If you're happy working with them as large icons or medium-sized icons, or even as details or the list, you can select whatever you want, just like any other things you would select. But since I've selected the large icons, it'll stay the large icons till you change that. Okay, now all these pictures that were on the My Drive that will be associated with this video are now going to be on your computer in a folder that you know where it is because you're the one that put them there. And now you have these files available so that if you are using a video editor, you can pull these files, these pictures or documents or audio files or whatever it is, into the media pool. Remember the media pool from the S tutorial. You're going to pull them into the media pool, and once they're in the media pool, you can drag them onto the timeline, at least to do a rough edit. And from that point on, once you get them into the timeline in the order you want, with the audio track roughly associated with where they are, as far as I'm concerned, you're done at that point, and somebody else can take over and do the additional job. I'm not going to do that for now, but I probably will do that as the next tutorial in this series. For now, I'm going to stop here, assuming that if you go through the steps that I just went through, you will be able to select pictures and other things, documents, audio files, whatever, pictures of places, other videos that you might want to put video clips in, and get them into a common folder that you can pull into that media pool. And this is the folder you will also save the video files to. So when you do a save of the video, then it will know that that everything in the media pool came from this folder, and it'll be able to find it later. This is not so important to you because you won't be doing the next step in this for the video. But for the next person doing a video, next person trying to do this, this will be the difference between being able to do it and not being able to ever do it ever again, ever, anytime in history. If those files are not gathered up properly, they'll never be found again. Now, the people have to be competent. They'll have to know that the files will not be where they're expected in the video editor. But if they're competent at using the video editor, they'll be able to know how to locate these files if they know where that master folder is. And for this particular project on your computer, if you've done exactly what I did, this will be the master folder. And they'll know how to deal with it, and they'll be able to get everything back the way it belongs in order to continue doing the video. If you get this thing out of sequence, they're done. There's no way they can ever progress beyond this point, ever. Okay, so I hope I scared you a little bit there. And I guess the only other thing now is to just to end this tutorial and let you give it a try.